Concerns continue to grow over Ukraine's nuclear power plants as well, as Russia is now in control of two of them, including Chernobyl. Ukrainian officials have said that Russia has disconnected Chernobyl actually from the power grid, but then the IAEA is saying that there is no immediate risk of a radiation leak. It's just one of 15 nuclear plants across the country, all of them now potential targets in a war zone. Let's bring in ABC News contributor Daryl Blocker, also former senior CIA field operative, and ABC News national security and defense analyst Mick Mulroy for more. And Mick, just before we talk about these reactors, and Daryl also, I want to ask you both, because in the press briefing, it was really put to Jen Psaki about Putin using nuclear weapons. And the question was pointed to her, what if Putin decides to use nukes during this war? There was a follow-up question saying bio or chemical attacks, is there any red line for Russia? Would love to get both of you to respond to that because of your experience, because of what you know, because of of the rules, and also that when you're at war, sometimes those rules go out the window. What if Putin does use a nuclear weapon? Does the U.S. then have to respond in some way militarily? Mick, let's start with you.
So, Kara, the first thing I'd point out is under Soviet doctrine and Russian doctrine, there is no bright line between the use of significant conventional weapons and a tactical nuclear weapon. There is in ours. There would be a pause. There would be obviously a lot of discussion on whether we'd want to elevate it that way. In the actual military doctrine, they don't have that. So that's very concerning. Obviously, if they use a tactical nuclear weapon, that changes the scenario substantially. It would cause great concern, and I imagine we would be very close to a conflict between NATO and Russia, which everybody should want to avoid. On the chemical weapons issue, Russia's already proven recently that they're willing to use these horrible weapons. They used them in Syria, essentially when they could not get in and fight in urban terrains where the guerrilla fighters had taken subterranean refuge. They used chemical weapons because they settled down into those areas to kill their combatants. Unfortunately, that's also where people hide. So civilians get killed, and that's why we responded the way we did to try to mitigate that. So President Putin has proved he will use chemical weapons. Let's all hope he doesn't even come close to the use of nuclear weapons.
Okay, Daryl, if indeed number two case scenario happens, it's got to change the role of the U.S. in its response, right?
Absolutely. Nukes are the absolute red line. And I don't know the regulatory process, but I'm fairly certain that Putin does not have singular and sole, push the button power. So hopefully greater discussions and cooler heads would prevail even within the Russian Federation inner circle that is Putin's inner circle.
Point well made. Yeah, you kind of wonder who he's listening to, if he's listening to anybody at this point. But when it comes to nuclear weapons, God, we can only hope, he's listening to those that say don't do it. So, Mick, let's get back to the biggest concern now when it comes to fighting near these reactors.
So, Kara, there's 4 major plants that have those 15 reactors that are still in operations, plus Chernobyl, which I believe have 4 decommissioned reactors. The big concern, obviously, if there's a military engagement around these facilities, that something could breach the core of the reactor, releasing radiation. Obviously, the best thing to do is not have a military engagement anywhere near a military or nuclear reactor. You don't think you have to be a nuclear physicist to figure that out. The second biggest concern is the way they're shutting down active reactors. My understanding is it takes 30 hours to do this in a way that could not cause an actual radiation leak. We saw what happened in Japan in 2011 when they were precipitously shut down without that cooling period. We need to ensure that does not happen to any of these 4 major active nuclear plants in Ukraine, as it could rupture and cause radiation that would spread not only through Ukraine and Europe, but also Russia.
All right, Daryl, final question. U.S. intelligence chiefs testified to the Senate today in a hearing on worldwide threats. And CIA Director Bill Burns said that Vladimir Putin has turned Russia into a propaganda bubble, but that he can't wall off Russians from the truth indefinitely. So how has Putin built this bubble, and can it be popped?
Well, Putin didn't invent the bubble. He actually inherited a very well-oiled propaganda machine, but he has done a lot to perfect it using the internet, using bots. But what he cannot control are the average citizen with a cell phone that's going to be taking pictures and debunking on a near real-time basis almost everything that he's saying. So he didn't build it, and quite frankly, it's being popped on a daily basis all across the Ukraine and within Russia.
Daryl and Mick, appreciate your time. Thanks, guys.
Hey, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.